Welcome to the game of real estate. I'm your host, Jason Rash. I'm taking you on my journey from $0 to $100 million in real estate sales. Let's go. All right, welcome back to the game of real estate. I'm your host, Jason Rash, and I've got a full house in here today. So I'm going to go around the room. I've got Bethany from Miami. She sells real estate. I've got Crystal from Boca. She sells real estate. Clearly, you know who I am. I sell real estate in the Palm Beaches. And I've got my wife, Brooke, here in the house. So today's going to be special. It's going to be super cool. We're going to have a dialogue. We're going to talk about what's going on in the market, possibly what could happen in the market. And we may find a little pay dirt, and we'll just kind of dive into all that stuff too as well. So ladies, I want to welcome you both into the studio. Bethany, we'd start with you. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you for having me. I'm Bethany Martinez. I do South Florida real estate, but primarily in Miami. That's where I live. I am with Compass Real Estate, and I've been doing real estate for about 12 years now. So I feel like that's a pretty long time. I made it. I'm a veteran now.
Yeah, you're a vet. You got your stripes. Yeah.
I do a lot of things in the community of real estate. I serve on various boards, our Miami Association. I've been on that board since I've had my license. And I'm also on the National Association of Hispanic Real Estate Professionals, it's NAREP. And I thrive in that because that's where I get a lot of community education. I feel like when things happen in our market, we're the first to know, and I'm able to bring that back to my clients. So it's always been really good to be at a servant leadership level and sell real estate at the same time.
That's awesome. So first things first, I just got to say, anybody that can speak two languages has my respect. I tried to learn Spanish. We went to Cabo, and I tried to learn Spanish, and I took out my Google Translate, and I was trying to learn everything while we were there. And I'm just I never paid attention to it in class. So I just think it's super. I was like, I'm never going to need to know Spanish. And now here I am. I'm like, you probably should have learned a little bit of Spanish along the way, Jason.
In Miami, people don't speak English.
Yeah.
So you really have to speak Spanish to try,
So I'll type something into Google Translate, and I'll just hold it up. That's like how I do things. So thank you for coming on to the podcast today. Crystal,
hi.
Welcome from Boca.
Thank you for having me. Awesome. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay, so I have been in real estate for 21 years this year, right? So I'm also a good veteran, right? Mm-hmm. Been doing it a long time. I have been with my company for probably like 10 years now. I love them. It's called Vantage Realty. My team name is Latimore Properties. That's me. I try to serve a lot in my office and help my agents grow their businesses, social media, and just do whatever I can to pour into them to help them grow. Obviously, realtors, it's kind of a lonely business because it's your business, but you got to try to pour into everybody else and create that community like Bethany was talking about, because you kind of need that, you know? So I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me.
Super cool. And one thing I'll tell you about Crystal, if you notice anything, her accent, she is from South Africa.
I was wondering where that was.
Yeah,
yes.
That's super cool. Super cool. So I respect people that have accents too, because my accent is just old Alabama accent. So, and lastly here, I've got my beautiful wing woman in the house, my marketing expert. By the way, she does like all my marketing. So if you've ever gotten one of my mailers, or if you've seen my social media, because I don't do my social media, or if you're listening to this podcast, because that was actually her idea, Brooke Rash in the house. How are you today, babe?
Hey, so I do not sell real estate, but I work behind the scenes with Jason in the marketing. And I said, let's bring some other agents from different areas, because South Florida is so diverse, right? And there's so many people, and you have so many markets within markets. Let's get, let's hear from people that are a little further south than us and see, how things are kind of moving in the market. So Jason serves the Palm Beach area. So I would say anywhere from like Jupiter basically down to about Del Rey, right?
Yeah.
And even up to, you just got a call for a referral in Port St. Lucie, but that's not your primary area, but you're still building. You're actually the newest.
Yeah.
Jason's not even at his 2-year mark.
No, I'm a newbie.
Jason.
I'm like the noob up in here. Yeah.
Yeah. Next month will be 2 years since he got his license. So I put together a list of questions, and I'm just going to let you guys kind of dive into it. What are you seeing happen in your current market?
Well, I think a lot of people can say that there's definitely been an adjustment. It's been slower in some sense for the majority of markets, is from what we're hearing. I do think still it was this aftermath of what happened in COVID. So many prices increased by double and triple that it took a while for people to come down off of that. And even now, if you look at the data, nothing has ever dropped lower. Everything is still gradually increasing. It's just not increasing like it did after COVID. And quite frankly, we needed an adjustment. It was becoming so unaffordable for the locals to purchase that's not what it's all about. I mean, it's great that we live in a state where people want to move here by the millions and that they want to buy our properties because we were very affordable when you put us up against California, when you put us up against New York. We still are in some cases for what you get. And then just by having no state income tax. Yeah. So I think that just made so many people want to live here that we were outpricing the people that were actually living here.
Which I think we're still kind of going through that. I mean, I have a ton of clients who are listing their properties and moving out of state because they just simply cannot afford to live in Florida anymore with insurance on the rise and taxes and just the inflation in general. I mean, it's hard for people to live here. So I do have a few clients that have been longtime Florida residents that are listing and moving out of state to states like South Carolina, North Carolina. They're a lot cheaper to move there and buy a home. You get more bang for your buck up there. Yeah. But you have such an influx of people coming from New York, California, Texas. I mean, all over coming to Florida to scoop up all these properties. So
well as Canada.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of Canadians that come in. We had a guy earlier actually that came in on a boat. Him and his wife. They had this, I want to say it was like 75-foot boat. And here's the thing, I probably should know more about boats than I do. I don't know enough. So I have to kind of like, whenever somebody's, okay, I got a Viking, I've got this, I've got an Amazit or I don't even know what the thing's called. Azimut, that's what it is. Like, I don't know all the brands yet, right? But I'm like slowly, as quickly as I can, like becoming immersed in this world. And they were like, hey, let's go look at this home up in Admiral's Cove, which is in Jupiter. And they looked at it and they're like, I don't know, I think we're going to go buy another 100-foot boat. And I'm just like, oh my God, what world am I living in? But back to what you were saying about the insurance and the taxes, I want to touch on that for just a moment. So this week, Ron DeSantis just talked about, actually it came out on the last day of March, which is the 31st? Yeah, March 31st. Because if he had released this on April 1st, everybody probably would have thought that it was going to be an April Fool's joke. He came out and said they are going to work to eliminate property taxes in Florida. Now, I have my own assumption and my own crystal ball idea of what this is going to be, but possibly I would love to throw it to either one of you ladies. What are your thoughts on that? Is it doable? Can he eliminate it? Or can it be eliminated? And what do you think would happen if they eliminated property taxes? Go.
I do not think that property taxes will be eliminated, especially not fully. Maybe a little bit of a relief, but not fully. I mean,
why is that?
Communities rely so much, the cities rely so much on the property taxes. They are super high. I mean, there's cities that are much lower than other cities where I'm from. So, it's really hard to say, is it right for one city to be charging so much more for a property on taxes than another city? That's kind of not fair. So I think some relief is good, but the cities do rely a lot on that money. I mean, you have people from the fire department, the police department, teachers. I mean, we pay property tax to go towards things like that, the water department, schools, everything. Yeah. So to eliminate it completely, I don't know if that's really going to happen, but some relief would be nice, actually.
Okay.
They do have $1,000 rebate that they have initially that you can take if you have homestead property. That is the immediate relief that they're offering. But like to what you said, I think it's speculation. It takes so much to make a move like that. You have to really see how it's going to affect your local and your state and how it's going to affect your cities. You can't just say you're going to do that and it not affect everybody else.
Yeah, so, it's kind of like a give and take. If you take it from one area.
You take it from somewhere, it's coming from something. Exactly. And I mean, I live in an area where people want to live in Miami Shores because that's why. The blocks are different, the police are different, the school is different. Yeah. And just right outside of that is West Miami Shores and taxes are way less, but you don't
want to live there.
You don't want to live there. The people that are living in there don't want to live there. Yeah. I would invest there, but so I do think that if they're gonna get rid of it, where is it gonna come from?
Exactly.
It's so prematurely talked about. I just don't think that they have enough to say that is actually going to happen.
Yeah, so like some relief, but just not fully, I don't think.
I think it's a two-pronged approach. So like when I've watched the whole thing, because this intrigues me, I'm like, okay, so to me it's math. And the way I see it is, they're going to come in and they're going to shrink the Florida government. It's like a Doge effort, right? I mean, they gave back $857 million. Just gave it back. Here you go, federal government. And they couldn't even take it back. So Elon Musk was like, hold on, we're going to figure a way to get this back. So they actually took the money back from Florida. Ron DeSantis, I think his goal is a two-pronged approach. Number one, they're going to shrink the Florida government. They're going to shrink it because he's like, his rationalization is the fact that during 2019 to now, you have the revenue has skyrocketed, like from the property taxes, because so many properties have traded. So like whenever they trade, if you don't know in the state of Florida, whereas like when the properties, the moment that you sell, your taxes get reassessed. Doesn't matter what it's done or anything like that. You don't have a property appraiser riding around. So eventually, like instantly, your property taxes are reassessed. So constantly over and over. So if you bought a house for $250,000, you're going to pay that until you sell that house. And it only goes up 3% unless because you've homesteaded it. It can only grow by 3%. But if somebody comes in and buys it, instantly they're paying 1.875% on $500,000 per year annually. If you do the math on that, it's roughly about $9,000. Now, all of a sudden, let's say 2 years later, it sells for $750,000, and then it sells for $800,000, and then it sells for $1 million. I mean, this is how Florida has become wealthy. And Ron's, in his speech, he said, listen, there's so much money flying around. Like it's becoming wasteful now. So what we're going to do is we're going to shrink the overall federal government the state government of Florida. So so he's going to take that. And then he said, the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to raise taxes on absentee homeowners. This does mean that rent will go up. I mean, unfortunately, but it's got to come from somewhere like you stated earlier, Crystal.
Yeah.
But they're going to
make it easier for people to rent here.
Correct.
Exactly.
That is true. But his whole overall goal is to give reprieve to the people that are proud enough to call Florida home.
Yeah.
And he's incentivizing people because the people that come here, what's going to happen is they're going to be incentivized. Like, okay, do I want to live in New Jersey? Do I want to claim homestead over in Connecticut? No. We going to Florida.
Exactly. Which is better for us.
Exactly. That's the whole goal,
and
right?
it's almost like a form of rent control without it being like New York or
Correct.
these other states, which I think we kind of need. I mean, I hate to say it because I also am an owner and I do rent out my property. And it was nice in COVID when the rent doubled and you can just literally tell your tenant, sorry, this is what I want.
57 other people waiting right behind you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so many people were homeless, like out of a home in that season. So I don't want to have full rent control, but it would be, some limitations would be nice because it's just so crazy that you can own 10, 20 properties and charge whatever you want for rent. These crazy demands without any restrictions, so to speak. So the
capitalism.
fact that, that's
exactly.
actually great if that was the case and that's how they were going to structure it to where, the owners who live here get to pay less. And then if you are just one of those investors that are banking off owning multiple properties in Florida, absentee owners, you get paid a little bit more. I mean,
the big companies, the big LLCs that are coming in and taking over buying properties here so that nobody else can buy. It's unaffordable if you have big LLC companies coming in and just buying up all of our property, So it's a homestead property. That's a huge bonus for anybody. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't want to own your own home, So definitely a good thing.
One other way he's going to get the money is through a consumption tax. So basically, the more stuff you buy, my guess is it will probably, if I'm just in my heart of hearts thinking about this will probably roll out in a two-tiered format, meaning that they're going to raise the consumption. Obviously, clearly, they're going to raise taxes on alcohol, the sin tax, alcohol, lottery tickets, everything else. But I do see a possible play because like they did this in Colorado. They made marijuana they gave, what is it, recreational. They created recreational marijuana, but the tax on that's 45%. Wow. And it's an all cash business when it raises hundreds of millions of dollars. But here's what Colorado did. I think that, because a lot of people, like you were saying earlier, there's different communities that are taxed different rate because there's like West Miami Shores, nobody wants to live there, right? But everybody wants to live in Miami Shores. What would happen if they bring in the recreational marijuana is that money would come in wherever you buy it, and then it's dispersed to the lowest poverty areas of the state. That's how they do it in Colorado. Wow. So that's how they move it around. The second thing he's going to do is he's going to tax foreigners even more. And they're going to raise tax on tourists too as well. So they'll be raising the hotel tax. They'll be raising anything that involves tourists. Like they're going to raise taxes on it. So at the end of his speech, he claimed that number one, it's a two-pronged approach. We're going to shrink we're going to shrink the government. and we're going to do all these other things to increase revenue on this end. He thinks that they can actually bring in even more money doing this. And I'm like, oh, because what's going to happen is I think it's going to be like, personally, in my prediction, it's going to be a COVID wave of people. It'll be like, think about it. Like, how many people have you talked to, either one of you, regardless of price point? At least it could be 800 grand, 500 grand, $8 million, whatever. How many times does property taxes come into the conversation or to make people pause before buying? Do you experience that?
All the time, all the time. That's a huge factor in somebody's monthly mortgage payment. You know, you can be approved at whatever you want when you're buying a home, but ultimately the things that factor in for a lot of buyers, I mean, not the very high-end buyers. They probably don't care about too much of the numbers.
I still hear it. Like on an $8 million home, I mean, they're paying 200 grand a year in property taxes. They're
Which
like,
is crazy.
This is a little much. Yeah.
But that's the thing is when you're dealing with a buyer, the biggest concerns they have is what it's going to cost them monthly for insurance and taxes.
Yeah.
You know, those are big factors for your monthly mortgage payment. So it does come into play a lot, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, people are also not really properly assessing their taxes. They're buying and they're basing their taxes off of what the current owner has paid. And
Yeah,
there's
I've
not
seen some
enough,
sneaky real estate agents
there's not
do
enough
that.
educated real estate agents that are properly telling the client, listen, you're going to get reassessed. So what you're paying right now is what the previous owner paid. And then next year, it's going to be assessed on your property value. I have so many people that have been in a tight situation because when it got reassessed, they completely could not afford it.
Well, especially after COVID, I mean, people sold their homes at 200,000
and then they're buying for $7 million. That's a huge
It's a big
increase
jump.
that they did not calculate for, that they can't even qualify for, really, if you think about it.
And as a real estate agent, I mean, your job is to educate your buyer, you know, and let them know, hey, just so you know, when we're calculating these payments with your taxes, I'm calculating it at what you're going to be reassessed at, not what it currently is, because that's your job. We're the professionals, right? We're supposed to know what people are supposed to be paying on their taxes.
Do you think some agents kind of just let that slide so they can get the deal? Because they're price crunched on them, like in their own personal financial situation? You think the people
because
do that?
a lot of agents that are like that, they're more interested in the commission check.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they're focused on. They're not focused on the best interest of their clients. And that's what you have. As a professional, that's your job. Your job is to focus on that.
All right, so this is what I was talking about, pay dirt, because my wife had a bunch of questions, but I got to dive into this. Like I really do. Like it's crazy, you know, being down here in the South Florida market selling real estate. I have noticed that there are the level of unscrupulous people that are willing to get a deal done. And don't get me wrong, these are huge commission checks. You're talking $20, $30, $40, $50,000 in some of these deals. I mean, that's a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, what do you think? Let me ask you this question, because this is now just coming to my mind. What is the craziest thing you have ever seen an agent do to try to get somebody to buy a house? Leave out all specifics like locations and stuff, but what have you seen? Because I have seen some crazy stuff. And I think I really have. You got this smile on your face. It's like, oh, this one story is coming to my head and I've got to tell it.
I actually had a property in Miami one time. Okay. I do go down there every now and then. So I had a property in Miami where the inspection was, I mean, the house had all kinds of crazy things going on. And
you mean it read like a murder scene?
No, it was like, there was like build outs that were done that you could just tell
Sounds like a typical day in Miami.
Yeah, it wasn't legal. Like I knew it wasn't legal, but the listing agent was like, my son is an engineer. He's going to come in here and he'll write up a report and make everything okay. And I was like, no, that's not okay. Like we just did the inspection and these are all the problems. Don't worry, I got it. I'm like, no, I don't think that's good. So that was one of the craziest things. It was fun, but not fun at the same time. Yeah, pretty crazy actually. I'm sure you've probably had a ton.
I mean, it's Miami.
Yeah.
You've heard of a million things, but I think it falls along the lines of misinformation, you know, hiding things, covering things up. You see a lot of that where there's damage to a property. There's one story. It wasn't mine, but it was really a mind-blowing story.
Let's go.
A friend of mine who owns a brokerage in Miami, she had a transaction in Coral Gables where the homeowner, the buyer closed on the home, and you have a seller's disclosure. You're supposed to always ask for a seller's disclosure, and on the seller's disclosure is everything that the seller is supposed to admit that they have known about the property. Was there a leak ever? You're also supposed to disclose if someone died there previously, things like that. But this house, when they had closed, you know, the buyer that was currently living in the property found an article about that property from someone along the lines about the house having been burnt down. And they were having issues with certain things in the property, like things that were coming up, smells. It was like after living there for some time, they kept like wondering, like, what are these issues that we're encountering? And mind you, they found this article online that apparently half of this house had been in a fire and burnt down, but they had covered it up and they never brought it up. And so they were able to, because it was literally on the news and it was never listed on the seller's disclosure, they were able to go after that previous owner for damages, because something like fire damage never goes away.
Yeah, the smell never comes out.
There's just certain things that with a home, you can restore it, you can do whatever you want, but there's certain, you have to disclose it because there's certain damage that just can't be redone.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember she was representing the seller. She was like, how could you not disclose this? Like, now we have to reopen this and we're going under litigation, like they're suing for damages and just things like that people will try to cover up that end up getting found out about later, and then it's now a lawsuit and suing for damages and things like that. I hear a lot of those stories.
Wow. That is like next level. I mean,
I found my house on the news that it was half burnt down, and I bought this house not ever knowing that, and it wasn't worth what I paid, you know?
Yeah. Had I known that, I probably wouldn't have purchased this house. Yeah, fantastic. All right,
well,
Brooke
let's
Rash.
talk a little bit more about the current market and what you guys are seeing. Are you seeing houses sit longer than normal? One of the things that we have, sorry, I'm not speaking into the mic enough. One of the things that and I say we because, again, I'm involved in his business and I'm on Zillow every day looking. Like, we're actually looking for our own personal property because we've been renting since we moved here. And what we're seeing is it seems that a lot of things, at least in our area, are overpriced and they're sitting for a while. And most of the people that he speaks to, they think that their properties are worth significantly more than what they are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, which one of y'all wants to take that?
We definitely have sellers that are still in that 2021 COVID mindset where they think someone's going to walk in off the streets and buy their house in like 2 seconds and they can price it for whatever they want. But realistically, that's not the case. Like in my market, houses are definitely sitting. But don't get me wrong. If your house is turnkey, it looks beautiful, and you really do price it like perfect, you're going to get multiple offers on it. So that is still happening, but you have to just be realistic, you know, and that's a conversation that I have to have with a lot of sellers right now because they think one thing, but it's just, you can't just price your house at whatever you want. You know, it's going to sit. And I always like to tell sellers, you know, you have to think of pricing your home. If we price it at what you want to price it at, I'm letting you know right now it's going to sit longer. We're going to have to do price reduction. But I tell them, you know, imagine seeing this beautiful woman and she's not married. She has no girlfriend. He's not married. She is not married, has no husband or anything like that. And people start to wonder what's wrong with this beautiful, smart, intelligent woman. There's got to be something wrong with her. That is what people start to see when they look at your house sitting on the market, right? So they always laugh at that.
That's a pretty good analogy, actually. I've never thought of that.
It's the truth, though.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly. You see a 40-year-old woman that's you know, beautiful, no kids, never been married. It's like
something wrong with her.
There must be something wrong with it. I mean, you said it. I didn't. I'm just over here.
I'm taking offense to that.
I don't think Bethany's married.
I'm not married, no kids, no. But
we weren't talking about you.
We were not talking about you.
I'm joking. She's married to her business.
There you go. That's good enough. We'll take that.
No, but it is true. They are sitting, but I always like to say this, even though it sounds very harsh, it is your house is worth what someone's willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
And that's just what it is. And if someone is not willing to give you what you want, you have to determine if you want to keep sitting on the market and waiting around for that one buyer, because it might be out there, or if you want to get your property moving. So it's really all about motivation.
Yeah.
Like, are they really in it to sell? Like, do they want to sell? Because the data is there. All you have to do is show them, here's where everything is at. Here is how many days it's been on the market. And this is where you fall when you put this list price. You're at the high points or you're at the low points. And I always tell my clients, I'm like, you never want to be at the top. Yeah. If you have 10 homes and they're all the same and they're around the same price, you want to be on the lower end of those homes because you want to be the next one sold, unless you can just carry the weight of carrying costs. Yeah. And if you're okay and if you're living in it and you're not in a rush, then that's fine. But at the same time, how much effort do you really want to give a seller that's not really motivated, that doesn't want to sell, that just wants to sit on the market? You're going not going to pour millions of dollars into marketing knowing that it's not going to sell because it's the price.
They're not motivated to sell right away. So I completely
But the data is there. So you really just got to show them the numbers and show them where things are. And it's like, with Compass, we have a thing called a program called Private Exclusive, where we test it out on Private Exclusive first. And it's been such a great tool because for overpriced sellers, we get to show them what it'll look like on the market at their price point without running days on market. Because as you said, I really feel like the days on market sometimes is a negative tool for a homeowner because it puts a mark on you like, oh, there's something wrong with you because it's been 3 days and 3 months and you have not had any, they don't know. I have a seller that has actually received multiple offers, but they weren't the right offers. They were extremely low, almost offensive because people are it's a buyer's market. So people are just like testing it out. Oh, let me see if I can offer 300 less. Some people are getting it, but some sellers are like, no, I know my house is worth a little bit more and I'm willing to wait. But the days on market hits you with like a negative mark, like there's something wrong with you.
And it brings in buyers who want to make lowball
offers. And agents are actually calling and asking, so what's wrong with the property? Give me the scoop. And I'm like, actually, there's nothing wrong with the property. We've had multiple offers. They've just been really low. We have an appraisal on this property. We know what it's worth, and they're not willing to rush. Like they don't want to rush. They can stay in the house if needed. So it's a little bit of just understanding motivation, understanding where the buyer's at, really educating your sellers on where they're priced and how long it'll actually take. And then just, now letting the market do its thing.
Yeah. I completely agree with that. I mean, days on market is just it's a killer for listings.
It is because this is our market. Days on market right now this is an average 3 months.
Exactly.
There's actually there's nothing wrong with it if you look at everything else and how long it's sitting. The market changes consistently just like we as humans change. So why are we expecting this to stay exactly the same like it was in COVID or 2021?
Oh yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah, I tell you what I'm seeing, and those are all, both of you hit it right on the head. I mean, the days on market, and then you got the woman that's, but
not
what's wrong? Yeah, not Bethany, but what's going on? So the way I see it is this: I see two worlds, and I tried to explain this to a buyer. And because we went into a house, it was clearly overpriced from the jump. We walked in, I was like, oh my God, this is like going to take hundreds of thousands of dollars. And not to admit, like a headache.
And that's crazy.
Yeah. And if you're relocating from the other side of the country, the last thing you want to do is you want to do a full renovation. From the other side of the country, that is very challenging to do. But so I explained it to him. I said, I think we're living in two worlds. The way I see it is we're living in two worlds. We're living in one world where 2019, all of a sudden you got the COVID pop, and then everything's just kind of doing this, and it's all coming back down slowly like a feather down to earth. I want you to imagine another world where you never had COVID. Like COVID never even existed. And all of a sudden, it's just going up. It's just normal, average, nothing changed. Maybe Trump was elected and Biden wasn't, but everything's just, it's going up. When those two worlds meet, whenever this world comes up and this other world, COVID world, comes down to it, that's whenever we'll have a true market. I think what's happening is all of everything that both of you are saying are absolutely correct. For instance, I had a client, she called me out and said, hey, I want to list my condo. And everything in her building, it was just sitting. Like everything was just sitting. Like condos right now, by the way, don't buy a condo right now unless you don't have what I'm about to tell you. Don't buy a condo. So anything or a house, by the way, just let me tell you that. Don't buy a house if you're going to do this. So what I'm seeing moving is something with a limited availability. It's got a water view. It's got a golf view. It's got some sort of something that makes it you special, unique, one of a kind. It's waterfront. It's got to have a limited available quantities. Apparently, somebody sent an email out to the world that, hey, there's only so much waterfront property in the state of Florida. Come buy it all up, right? But even that's not good enough now. I've seen properties come down from $4 million to $3 million to $2.8 million that are on the water. I mean, these would have sold just 2 years ago for like $4 million and people would have scooped them up, and now we're in a different world. Money isn't cheap. Money is definitely not cheap to get, especially even if you're paying all cash. That has to come from somewhere because it's not under somebody's mattress. It's coming from the market. The stock market's doing this. And today, with Trump announcing its tariffs, I mean, it's even diving down further. So now I was literally called this guy. He owns a coffee company and he wanted to buy a $45 million house. So I cold called him. And we talked on the phone for a while, and he said, okay, cool, this is great. Give me some information on this house. Got him the information. I called him back a week later. This is after the DeepSeek. I don't know if you're familiar with NVIDIA and AI chips, but DeepSeek came out and said that we can build an AI large language model for 1/10 of what NVIDIA chips cost. So NVIDIA tanks. It tanked like 20% in like a day. And then you got and I call him back, and this guy, clearly he can buy a $45 million house. He's running a very large company, owns it. And he's like, hey, Jason, I can't talk right now, man. I can't buy the house. I'm like, are you okay, Dan? And he's like, yeah, but the stock market's just going crazy right now. Like that gives people pause because people that are buying homes are pulling their money. The liquidity comes from the stock market, like all of it does. And that is what's happening now in the market that I'm seeing. I'm seeing buyers are like, okay, you just dropped it 300 grand. Fantastic. Like literally yesterday, the buyer dropped at 300 grand, 61 days on the market. Beautiful house, right? And I'm thinking the whole time, I'm like, okay, well, if they're going to drop it 300 grand and 61 days on the market, they're probably going to come down another 175, 215. Okay, cool. My buyers wanted to come in, but they went right under contract right after that. But I guarantee you, when you look at the final sales price, it's going to be negotiated even further. And that's just the market that we're in. And it goes back to the holding cost. Does a seller want to wait it out? Do you have the wherewithal? What's going to take you out? It's like, I was talking to a guy yesterday. He's got a piece of property. And I explained to him, I said, listen, what number do you have in your head for this? Actually, I'll give you a better example. He has a boat. He paid a ton of money for this boat, put $2 million into it. He only owes 400 grand on this boat. He can't dump a boat right now for nothing. By the way, if you own a yacht, like let me just explain to you, it's almost virtually worthless right now because like Bethany opened up and said, it's only what somebody's going to pay you for it, not what Zillow or whatever everything sells. I said, you need to get to a number in your head and you need to go there now. Like, because it costs you 10 grand to hold this boat, or it could be 10 grand to hold a house every single month. Whatever that number is, that's eating up into your carrying costs. So like whatever that number is, get to it now as quickly as possible and then sell. Price it right. Make sure it's good because turnkey sells, because nobody wants to pay full price for a renovation. Nobody. Like we are like sellers are like, I've had to turn down listings. I've had to turn down people that are like, hey, listen, I want to listen for this. I'm like, the first question out of my mouth whenever I hear somebody saying, oh my God, I want to take this turd and market it as a pile of gold. How did you arrive at that number?
Yeah.
Like, that's the first thing I want to know. Like, where in your mind did you come up with this number? Like, clearly someone gave it to you. You saw it in the Zestimate.
Yeah.
Like, I hear also.
Zillow.
Yeah, I saw and I'm like, but you do know that this house over here had $200,000 worth of work done to it, and yours clearly has not been updated since 1998, right? And I want to add something else real quick before Brooke gets to the next question. Have you ladies noticed this? And I just got to ask this for my own personal satisfaction. I coined this term, the instantly outdated upgrade. And it's like whenever you come in and like somebody's like, I just renovated my house. And I'm like, did you renovate out of the bargain bin or did you, like it, and it's like almost looks so dated. It's like, when did you do this? 2021? I'm
but
like,
they think it's like super updated and you're like, it's
I'm
really
like,
not.
I don't know. You probably should have gone out of the bargain bin out at Home Depot. I mean, like, have you ladies noticed this? Like where they claim they renovated it and all of a sudden you're like, I don't know, man. You should have probably not touched it, dog.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Well, there's like half renovation, which is a lot of what fix and flippers are doing, where they're just getting it to like today's standard. They're not putting all the high finishes and high upgrades in it. And that'll get you to a certain number from them because usually they're buying very, very cheap.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of the homes where you just start to realize like a lot of it is from Home Depot.
Yeah.
I mean, my house
And
that I bought,
the
I'm like,
workmanship is bad.
I've seen these faucets and like my shower head in multiple homes. I'm like, where did they must have got them from Home Depot?
They got it out of the bargain bin. They just reached in there and said, John, go grab me a couple of those faucets over there.
But it'll last you for the next couple of years. And then you're going to have to upgrade and update again, and just for the next round of buyers.
Exactly.
I think where a lot of people miss the mark in the renovation process is, number one, it's picking evergreen things. Like, you can go too far. I've seen some people, I'm like, whoa, that's almost like carpet in the bathroom too far. You know what I
Or
mean?
on the toilet seat.
Yeah. It's like, it's a little much there, dog. But it's also like, okay, the more expensive the home is, the more somebody wants the upgrades. These people that are playing in the $1 million plus, I'd say, they want something that either they can move into and they're not having to renovate within 5 years.
They want top-notch finishes.
Yeah, exactly. So like if you're a seller right now and you're wanting that, like you've got to either renovate it, paint it, or do something to bring it into it. Because the way that a lot of people at the high level see it, they see it as time. Like what's worth more, time or money? Time is always worth more, right? It's like, do I want to do this? Nope. Even if somebody's willing to come down 300 grand, they're like, don't think I want to do that. Think I'll pay 300 grand more for something that's already done. It's going to last me for 10 years.
And they'll pay a premium for something that's nicely done.
Yeah.
That has, they can tell, you can tell when a property has those characteristics of things that the other ones don't. That's why everybody's running to that property in this market where everything is overpriced and nothing is done nicely.
No, people don't want to do any work. That's why the ones that are completely turnkey are the ones that get sold really quickly with multiple offers, even in this market.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, Brookie, you're up.
So for our next trick,
It's
it's going
actually-
to be a word from our sponsor. So
Oh, fantastic. All right. Now it's time for a word from our
Christian,
sponsor.
can you bring up that slide?
All right, I take this product called Recharge. This is wonderful and fantastic. It's a natural energy booster, but more importantly, you can read all the stuff on the screen. I think that most people, whenever they drink caffeine, they do expect some sort of their mind to get locked in, to quote unquote, get in the zone and become alert and be able to have more cognitive performance. That's exactly what this product does. This is the actual opposite of what a Monster or an energy stick is. This product has very little caffeine, but it has guarana and it has taurine in it. It's going to improve your alertness, concentration, and again, it's going to make you lock in that zone. As my son says, you're going to dial in, Jason. So anyway, if you want to get dialed in, you want to know how to get so much work done, grab it at recharge.jasonrash.com. It's a fantastic product. Take it every day.
So there's 3 up there because there's one for each of our
Oh my
guests.
God.
Oh, there we go. We're going to give out some Recharge today. Yes.
So I was literally gonna say I want to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, the
Oh,
next-
you're going to love it.
I
Oh my God. You're going to
try.
you're going to be like, seriously, you're going to be like doing some work. You're going to take it and then be like, oh my God, where is this coming from? Let's go. Everybody back up. I'm dialed in. Let's go. I want to sell. That's
I'm
what
gonna
it's going to
post
be
a
like.
video.
Yeah, we
about
need
it.
it.
Yeah, you'll have to tag me and Brooke in it. Yeah, you're going to love it.
So Jason likes to take this whenever he's working his lead list, which brings us to the next question, which is where are you getting your leads from right now? Like what's working to bring in qualified leads?
Well, website leads have been a very, very big part of the business. I have a partner that I work with, and she's dominated in her market with website leads, targeted ads for specific projects, especially new construction. So I'm seeing with branded projects like Ritz-Carlton and stuff, she's just killed it in that department and generated a lot of leads Canada from people all over, very cold leads that she's been able to transform into actual sales. And then for me, a lot of my leads are through my network. I do a lot of traveling. I have a lot of people who have relocated into South Florida because I sit on various boards.
Yeah.
So I've built a lot of referral partners in other markets, and I'm the go-to guide to South Florida when they come. I used to work in hospitality too, so there's that niche of like knowing where to go to get everything that you need, being a one-stop shop, and I really take pride in relocating people to Miami. And then leads, I think everything you do in life can be a lead source for you. So right now I've started another business, which is actually facilitating real estate agents through our virtual assistants. And through that's also generated a lot of leads, like just in general. So I always try to add value with what I know to either my clients or even my agent, referral partners, or agents in the market. And I just feel like leads can literally come from anywhere. Anybody can be a lead at any time. And the people that I invest my money, my vendors, my service providers, those are the people who also invest in me. So I think it's like a give and take.
Yeah, absolutely. The fact that you have a referral network, that's a huge part of where I get a lot of business from. It's like referrals from other agents in different places. So we have people leaving the state. Sorry.
You're gay.
We
You're
have
gay.
people leaving the state, so you can refer out to those agents, and then we have tons of people coming in. So the more relationships that you have with realtors out of state or other vendors too, the more business you can get in state as well. I've been doing, as you guys know, a lot of like social media stuff,
You're great at that, by the way.
I'm trying to,
it's great.
and it's very tedious and time consuming, and I don't always want to be on social media. My husband absolutely hates being on social media, so he's always like, but it's really working for me. I'm getting clients that follow me. They never like anything. They never comment, but they're calling me to sell a home, So I've been getting a lot of business that way, which has been great for me. And then my past clients, I really keep on top of my CRM and doing pop buys for clients and things like that. So I do get a lot of referrals from my past clients and my sphere of influence and stuff like that. So
I love that. Both of you have great answers. And I've got a question for both of you. So, this podcast is called The Game of Real Estate, and it's really masked with how to build a business from 0 to 100 million. I have not made it 100 million, or have not sold $100 million of real estate yet. My question for you is, and because I know everybody has this question, when you first meet somebody and they're a lead, how do you convert them into like actual money? How does it convert? Or how do you, let's take it back one step actually. how do you meet somebody and convert them into a lead? Like, is there a qualification process for you? Like what is that secret sauce that makes that X factor of who you are? Because both of you do it uniquely different. Whenever you meet somebody, you're like, oh man, this person would be great. How do you bring up your business of what you do? And how do you convert that individual into an actual close? Feel free.
Well, I feel like everybody knows probably 100 realtors already.
Yeah.
Exactly.
right?
That's what I'm getting at.
So in that regard, I just offer value immediately to anybody. That's just my nature. And I can offer value in a lot of ways. It's not just with real estate. You could have a real estate agent and I can still offer you value. And sometimes I'll teach you things that maybe your agent will never teach you. And I think just always being there and available to offer value or information to somebody is what keeps them, what keeps you top of mind. I've had people who've come to me after the fact, maybe didn't work with me at first, but came to me afterwards because they're like, oh, you know what? You were so helpful. Or you know how when you're on the opposite side of the transaction, like I'm a listing agent, I sell the property to a buyer and their agent, right? I've resold so many properties for those buyers just because I'm the one that's now in contact. They're now in my CRM. A lot of the times it's in the follow-up. People just forget to follow up. And if you're not on top of mind, they forget about you. So it's like having the proper systems, having a CRM, setting reminders, constantly touching them on different bases to stay, in front of them. I think it's just so important. So if you can master follow up and just constantly touching people and shameless follow up.
Yeah.
Like not being worried if you're bothering them because every time you bother them, you're offering them some kind of value.
Yeah. Don't be a salesperson, right?
Yeah,
Don't
it's
be
not about
too salesy. That's
selling,
the
but
biggest
just
thing.
checking in. And it's really time consuming, to be honest. If you're a busy top producing agent and you have a lot of deals, it's really time consuming. But that's when you should hire support staff.
Okay, what does follow up look like for you then? And then I'll come over to you, Crystal.
CRM for one.
Like what does
right?
that? What does that mean? Customer relationship management tools. In case you guys want to know, it's like a customer relationship management tool. It's a big database. Yeah, we call it CRM. I always like to assume that some of my listeners are 6-year-olds.
Of course.
And that's not a play on them. I just assume that people don't know the internal language of what it is what we're talking about, and I don't want them to get lost because the moment somebody doesn't understand the language is the very moment that they just tune out.
Check out.
True.
Yeah, so it's a customer relationship management software,
And
basically where you keep a bunch of
CRM
names.
can even be as simple as your phone book in your phone, right? So when I put a number in my phone, I have a rule, and I taught a lot of my team members this. I hope they still stick with it. No one gets saved in my phone without first name, last name, email address, phone number, and then I put a note in there. So if I'm just casually talking to someone, it's like just like I need some information right now, I won't save them in my contacts. But if you are going to get saved in my contacts, it's first name, last name, email address, and phone number. And I've had people ask me, why do you want so much information? And I tell them, I'm like, because that's just how I save a contact. If I don't have it all, I won't save it.
Like you respect them enough to be able
and
to
they
do
respect
that.
me. And most of the time, you're a business person. They know you're serious about your business. Once they get saved in there, you're able to organize everybody to actually put them into a CRM later down the line if you want to save your contacts. That your database is your most important thing. How many times you have 5 Johns with no last name and you don't know who he is, where you met him? So I take that very seriously. Back like 10 years ago, I paid someone to help me organize it. And so ever since then, that's the only way I organize my phone book.
Okay.
Then from there, with the note that I leave, because sometimes you can meet someone and you never really remember where they are, the note helps you identify if they're a client, if it's a friend, if you met them at an event, if you met them traveling, like something in the note. And then I organize my CRM based on like the notes, which is like different tags. And that's really how I'm able to follow up down the line because I know who they are. Even if I've only spoken to them once, if I wrote like potential client, meaning like they're not a friend, I just randomly met them. If they're a potential client, then they get saved into like a client bucket of like what I would ever want to send a client email to down the line.
Like a newsletter or
Like a
something like
Are
that.
you
newsletter.
like snapping a photo of them too? Let me just get this for the contact.
I do. I would love to. I don't do that enough, but I would love to. But nowadays, like CRMs are so robust that you can put just with the information, name, number, email address, it can pull up all their social profiles in like seconds. So you can actually remember who they are.
Who do you use? Do you use Follow Up Boss?
I use Follow Boss.
Follow Boss is dope. Like I put it in there. And
and it pulls up
I use
like
2 CRMs, by the way.
Me too.
I
Two?
use 2. I use one that I pay for all my leads because I own a website called palmbeachhomefinders.com. Yeah, and then I'll use that, and then I dial out of that one, and then I transfer everything to Follow Up Up Boss. I just like the way Follow Up Boss works, but I can also send red receipts so I can see that they've read it, and you know what I'm saying? So it's super cool. I always like to know everybody's follow-up process. You know, I don't think you get to 100 million in sales just by initially meeting somebody and closing them there. I fully 100% believe that follow-up is the key in any business, like any business, like just like Christian's sitting over here. He's running a podcast studio. I'm confident, Christian, grab that microphone. I'm confident, because this is how follow-up works in every single business. I'm confident that Christian meets people who would be great for a podcast, but just not right now. Is that correct, Christian?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
And then so like you guys probably follow up with these people a month later, 2 months later, something like that, when the time is right.
Later, sometimes 6 months.
Yeah, but as long as you're following up and you're touching them, and I just wanted to prove that, because we're talking about real estate here, but he's talking about podcasting. It works. It's gold. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate that. But sorry, Crystal. So let's talk about your lead generation. You know, you meet somebody. How do you convert that normal everyday person that you meet in a coffee shop into an actual close? Because so many people, regardless of real estate or wherever it's at, they want to know what's the secret sauce. And I'm just asking for my own personal, because I'm like, is there something that I can glean from this conversation? By the way, I have both of you ladies on here for selfish reasons. I just want to know all your secrets and tips, and I just want to know what it is that I could do to help further my business along. Okay, go ahead.
Well, so I mean, I strongly believe that I'm not a salesperson. I don't like being salesy or like pitchy to people. Like, I really believe that you have to build a relationship with somebody. Like, people like to buy from people they like, know, and trust, right? So that's my goal. My goal is not to be like, hey, I'm a real estate agent. Do you want to buy something? Call me. You know, so I like to just make sure I listen to what they're talking about. People like to talk. So
do you take notes on people whenever they're talking to you?
All the time. Like, if I'm on the phone with a client, I am noting everything down.
I'm a copious note taker. Yeah. I'm like, how many kids you got? And I'll ask them, I'm like, oh, so you got 5 kids. I'm like, and they're all adult kids. I'm guessing you probably are going to have an army of grandkids. Is that the goal? And they're like, oh yeah. And I'm like, okay, so then you might possibly want like an actual guest house. He's like, oh my God.
Yeah, because then you provide value, right?
Yeah.
And now they're going to be like, oh, okay.
I think that's great, because like when we're talking about value isn't always like in spreadsheets and data and hey, you know, like 5 homes sold in your neighborhood over the last 6 months at average price per square foot of the X, right? Yeah. Maybe it's just helping them think of something that they haven't thought of yet, because they're so in the weeds of wherever they're at in their own lives.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're just spitballing this thing out, and this is what a dialogue's about, but I'm just, keep going.
No, so that's what I mean. I focus mostly on just making sure to listen to what they're saying, because people don't want to listen to me talk. You know, right. I'm just there to help them buy or sell something, or try to lead them in the right direction, or help them get pre-qualified or whatever. Or they're just asking me about the real estate market. So I'll give my 2 cents, but I find that making sure that I'm listening to what they're saying and hearing them is really important. People really like to talk about themselves mostly, you know, so that's my job, is to listen to what they're saying and then take that information and convert them into a client, right? Put them in my CRM, follow up with them. I always, every client I close, I make sure I have birth dates, the anniversary of the date that they closed on their home, and I'm always following up and sending things out and doing pop-bys and stuff, so I can stay in touch with clients and get referrals for new clients from them.
There you go. Question for each one of you ladies. And just as I'm thinking about this, and we're going to jump back to Brookie with her questions too. Do you follow leads on social media? Or do you think that that's too far? Like for instance, so I have talked to I've cold call people. And if I feel like it's a good conversation and I feel like it's somebody, I'm like, I actually genuinely like this person.
Oh, and you go follow them on social media.
Yeah. For instance, one lady, she was going to come down, her and her husband were going to come down and visit. We were going to look at a property or whatever. And she sent me a screenshot of where she was looking. Well, the banner came down. She got a notification from Truth Social. And I was like, I guess Trump's website, right? And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I got a feeling me and her are going to get along. So I sent a message back to her. And I was like, I totally love where the property is that you're looking. It's a great area. And by the way, the fact you're on Truth Social makes you pretty awesome, right? And so she was like, oh, this is going to be great. So you break that barrier, right? I got one other question for you now that I'm really getting into this, right? Now that I'm really getting into this, right? So I call this the emoji barrier, right? I never use an emoji unless a client uses an emoji first. I won't use a GIF. I won't use an emoji. And I mirror exactly how they're they're going, right? So like until a client with me uses one of those, I refrain from that. Are you the same way?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I let them break that barrier first because I love my emojis and stuff.
Are you an emoji? Just throwing out emojis?
It depends on what the conversation is going, but it's usually a light one, maybe like a thumbs up.
Yeah,
yeah.
But I definitely use emojis, so that's funny because when there's certain clients that are like they use them back, I'm like, oh, okay.
We
I feel like that
vibe.
means that they endear it. It's an term of endearment, right? Would you agree?
Okay,
Yeah.
what about voice notes? I have there's a thing with me in voice notes when someone just like continuously sends voice notes, and a lot of the times like I'm like, I
don't know of anyone like that.
I
don't know of anyone that does that.
I do not send a voice note unless the client sends one first. And usually when they send one first, I'm like, yes, oh my God, I love that you love voice notes right now because 90% of the time I'm driving.
Yeah.
And texting and driving is just so much more difficult.
You got to get a Tesla, girl. I've got an affiliate link. We can talk about it after the show.
Let's go. But the voice note is really funny to determine like who actually uses and listens to them because some people don't like to listen to them.
Yeah,
true.
some people don't. I mean, but I will the same thing. If a client sends an emoji, a voice note or something like that to me, then I will reciprocate and send that back too because I don't want to just come off just sending it thinking that they're going to be okay with that, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I have one thing. Voice to text, like when you're doing the emails now, you can do all of that. So I was looking back at one of my follow-up emails on a client that hasn't closed anything yet. I was going to sell their home. And I saw that I was sending them an email. And then I guess it was like voice to text and I didn't pay attention. So in the middle of the professional email, I was like yelling at someone else on the side.
Oh my God.
And it was like, hey, so-and-so, it was a pleasure speaking to you. I look forward to, oh my God, don't go that way. I hope to call you soon. And I thought to myself, I'm like, oh my God, this is probably why he hasn't written that. But it was like in the middle of my text in my email. I'm like, you have to be careful with these things.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, so out of my CRM, I can do a mass text, and you put in first name and then agent first name and then favorite city. You can do hyper tags through it. And I put in my name, and it was like, hi, Jason, this is Jason.
Oh, my God.
And it was like, and I sent that out to like 27 people, and I was like, wah.
Technological Phil.
So that's a botch on my part. Go ahead, Brookie. What do we got?
I personally love voice notes. I'm just saying.
She does.
I do. They're
She'll send like
great.
72 of them.
They're great.
Well, listen, I think, and I'm not in real estate, but I am in sales, and I have the same with the follow-up, so I think it depends on the level of the relationship, right? Like if I'm sending emojis or if I'm sending voice notes, and also how we're communicating. So like if I'm just like reaching out to a lead, and my business is different than yours, like you're dealing with high ticket items, I'm dealing with like, $50 products or recruiting people into my business.
Yeah.
If it's like a Facebook message, I have no problem sending a voice note. But if it's a text message, like I have a new like professional contact that I'm working with, like a higher level influencer, like I'm not voice noting her yet because she hasn't voice noted me. So I think it depends on like where you're communicating, right? Are you texting?
Yeah, the communication style.
Is this a social media message? Is this an email? But it is like, where is the relationship? Like what status are we at?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
we will wrap up because if not, Jason will talk all day.
All day. If you have not figured that out, because I've got recharge flowing through my veins.
I'm going to take some
Awesome.
of this.
Let's go. You're gonna love
it. You're going to freaking love this stuff.
You
It's
are.
amazing.
I love it. It really helps me focus. So the last question would be, when do you guys see the market shifting, turning around?
That's a good one.
Well,
Honestly.
I don't necessarily think we're on such a downturn.
yeah.
Again, I think we're just in an adjustment and
Like a holding pattern almost.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
everything needs to turn with it. The market, the rates, the government, like everything is shifting together. So luckily for us in South Florida, for as long as people keep living here, as long as we keep being the amazing state that we are, I think we are very, very blessed to be able to sell real estate here.
I think other markets, like not South Florida, where everyone seems to be flocking to, maybe they're experiencing some sort of a downturn or a major slowdown. But I think for the most part, we have a ton of buyers that are out there looking. There's a lot of inventory, but there's a ton of buyers out there
And
looking.
our luxury market is doing well
Oh, yeah.
still. And that's the crazy thing.
Definitely.
Like the luxury market is
Oh, yeah,
still
it's crushing.
thriving.
And new construction is doing great.
Yeah, and we're selling out on these these pre-construction buildings, like they're keep building and we keep selling out. So that just goes to show you that I don't think we have enough demand.
No.
In South Florida.
You got to look at
homes.
like Port St. Lucie, where you guys are going up to it's grown so much in the last few years.
People
just
are
since
moving
COVID.
there.
People are
getting
moving
out of here and moving there.
Yeah.
From Miami to Broward, Broward to Palm Beach up even further. So people are just going and going. So it's a good market for us.
I am convinced that one day we're going to look down from space and you're going to see nothing from Miami. It's going to be just white at night, all the way from Miami, all the way
Yeah.
up to Cape Canaveral, maybe even all the way up to Jacksonville. It'll all just be Miami.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, that's just how I think that's where we're going. I think if they remove property taxes, I really do think it's going to bring a surge of people into the market. I really do. I mean, especially those people that are sitting on the fence. Will it increase property values? Maybe, but I don't see it doing it that much because if you got to think about $1 million home, $18,000, you know, they're not going to be able to ask $2 million for $1 million home, you know, because the return won't be there. So I don't think it's going to be like that. But you never know. I mean, I could be completely wrong. I just want to say thank you so much, ladies, for coming on. Brookie, do we have any more questions?
That's all.
No, I have a fun fact though.
Yeah, please tell me.
We are the only city in the world that has all the major sports leagues. We have NFL, NHL, MLS, MLB. We have Formula One, and I think
Tennis.
We have everything.
I mean, it's
here
Miami. Hello.
in Miami,
Yeah.
and not another city in the world has all of those major sports leagues.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we got a lot here.
Now
we
with
got
the
everything.
new
And sunshine.
stadium
Yeah.
and sun.
There you go.
It's
And you've got the
weather.
beach. Awesome, ladies. Thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. Definitely let me know about
We
the
will.
recharge.
We
I'd
will.
love a
Thank
Facebook
you.
post.
I
Feel
love
free to
gifts.
shoot me out.
Absolutely.
And thank you so much for listening to the podcast today. This is awesome. Let me know, by the way, in the comments if you want to hear more of these where we bring in more of a round table style. I kind of like it, so all the pressure's not on me, but let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for listening, and go out there and vote to eliminate property taxes if you live in the state of Florida, because it'd be a great thing. Have a great day. For this episode, the game of real estate. Remember, this game rewards those who stay in it to win it, and I'm here to keep you ahead of the competition. If you're feeling pumped and ready to make your next big move, hit that follow button so that you never miss an episode. And hey, don't just listen, share this podcast. Screenshot this episode, post it to the stories, and tag me at Jason Rash. Go ahead and do that now for a repost and a personal shout out. This is the game of real estate where winners are made, deals are closed, and the hustle never stops. I'll see you back on the field next time. Game on. Let's go.